Okay, screen's changed over. So, welcome to day 3. Yeah, day 3, video 3 of my 5-part series, where I just show basically what each step in my planning process is. It's not going to be very in-depth, and I probably won't be able to complete each step in time-wise in the span of just the one video for each thing, because you know they're only going to be an hour long at maximum. But yeah, so day 3, part 3. So last time what did we basically just did a brainstorming session where we just wrote out any ideas that came to mind. And so this time, today, we are going to just sort of organize that brainstorming into categories. So I'm going to go up here and we're going to make this world building. And then we're going to come down here, and this one's going to be story. I'm going to add one more category, sort of, and it's going to be character. And so I'm going to go through that little brainstorming session and just take each paragraph, take each little point a little bit, and put it in its place. So world building is just basically things like setting, like for example time period, setting, like cities, like geographical information, that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's set in Japan, modern, so that's the world. It's zombies, and so the world building for the zombie story itself is, you know, like what sort of zombies they are, so that goes there. Story, so that would be like anything plot wise, like what actually happens. Obviously, like any ideas for parts, like story beats, scenes, anything like that. So yeah, character, obviously any just sort of like character information. Let's see. This bit is world building because it's about like the society. I mean, there's probably not going to be too many world building points in this outline because, you know, it's set in technically the real world and the modern world. So, you know, it's not as if I've got to keep track of lots of different sort of original ideas, you know, things that aren't actually real. Like if it was a fantasy story, world building would be pretty significant. This bit, I mean, it could go into world building. It could go into story. We'll put it in world building because it's more just about the actual time and season that it takes place. This will go in story. You can sort of go into world building as well, but no. this goes into world building because it's about the setting itself. Character. Story. This could be world building or story. I think we'll stick it in world building because it's not specific to any particular event or character or anything like that. Yep, so this all goes into world building. Yep, so this bit goes into story. This is setting, so even though technically, I mean, you could sort of say setting is different to world building, I'm gonna put it all in there. Oh, that's right, I forgot. I haven't opened up my timer yet. Set up for 45 minutes. Okay. Probably finish earlier than that though, but story. Character. World building. Okay. So why I do this is so that I can see what needs more attention, basically. So like if, for example, I was writing a sci-fi or a fantasy or something that required a good deal of world building, but when I've sorted it out, my world building is only like, you know, 3 or 4 paragraphs, 3 or 4 points, then I know that I probably need to spend a bit more time on that specifically. Or like, you know, if story, there's like nothing there, well, obviously story is super important, you know, without that you haven't got a book or anything. So, you know, I need to definitely work on that. Character, I find character is one of the ones you can get away with in the planning stages having less than you might actually want, because as you develop your story and stuff, you tend to make decisions about your characters at the same time. Yeah, so we've sorted that out. Yeah, so that's basically, you know, and it makes it a bit easier to sort through, like when you actually start writing, if you need to check something, some information, like, oh, you forgot a bit of information or you wanted to like add a bit of information, it's much easier, obviously, if it's organized. So yeah. And usually I'd probably spend, because this isn't even 1,000 words, it's a very, very light what's the word, like brainstorming thing, but so normally I'd probably do a bit more. I would have done a bit more yesterday, but I couldn't be bothered. You know, usually I'd spend a couple of hours, you know, or like I'd spend the day just sort of on and off throughout the day, adding to it and things like that. But yeah, anyway, for the purpose of this video, I think it'll be enough. So yeah. So once everything's sorted out, next, I'm going to do a 3-point plot or 3-paragraph plot. So this isn't like brainstorming or anything. I'm going to go over here to summary. So in manuscript, there's a separate section, but you don't need that. You can just keep writing in a separate document. And so this is where, on the very first day, I wrote my premise, basically the situation, the what if, which was basically just, you know, groups of survivors. They try to survive and find each other or whatever, you know. And I mean, you could go in here and write it in one sentence as well, but I'm going to just, yeah, I'll do it anyway. So let's just rewrite the premise, but this time it's going to be a little bit longer, and we're going to actually mention like the characters, not necessarily by name, maybe by name, we'll see. Let's see. So trying to yeah, that'll do. But since each of the characters are, at least the main characters, are members of the same family, so we've got them and they're separated, obviously. You know, they're not all together. Because all hell breaks loose and whatnot. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go here and we're going to go paragraph. Now, usually that means that we would turn this one sentence into a one paragraph summary. But I'm actually going to turn it into 3. I know, like, I'm only doing it in this part of the editor because it's easier to look at, like easier to sort of understand the expansion method. But, okay, so it says one paragraph summary, but I'm not going to do one paragraph. I'm going to do 3. So it's going to be the, basically, you know, the usual thing: beginning, middle, end. Or you call it like the setup, the action or conflict, and the conclusion. So, and because, so for example, if you were the sort of person who really likes to go in depth with your plotting, like you really benefit from plotting out scene by scene, or maybe chapter by chapter, section by section, whatever. Yeah, I mean, you can start off doing that straight away, or it might be easier to just go by steps, you know, using the actual snowflake method. This isn't the snowflake method, it's just sort of similar in the way that you expand on smaller summaries. But yeah, but if you're not someone who likes to plot, I would suggest at the very least this much, you know, just beginning, middle, and end. So at least you know where you're heading, even if you don't really know what's coming in between, even if you're the sort of person who likes to just see how things go as you write. It's better still, in my opinion, personally, to have the biggest markers, you know, so how it's going to start, what the big conflict is in the middle, not necessarily, you know, like how they're going to get there or how they're going to overcome it or whatever, but just what it is, what happens, and then how the story ends. Again, not necessarily how they get to that ending or that conclusion, but just the conclusion itself. You know, so like, for example, if it's not going to be, but for example, if the conclusion, the end of this story was that Tommy Kazu and their parents are unable to reach each other and perish. And perish, unable to overcome the zombie threat, you know? Like, for example, even if it was just that, at least you know that's how you want it to end. Even if you change your mind later, you know, as you're writing, you're thinking, oh, I don't really think that ending's gonna work anymore, or I don't really like that ending anymore, you can change it. Obviously, you know, you don't have to be restricted by your outline or whatever. It's just there to help you keep on track. And you can change those tracks if you want. You can change direction. But yeah, anyway, this isn't how I'm thinking of ending it, so let's see, beginning. Because it's a multi-point of view story, this beginning is probably actually going to be a bit longer than if each paragraph that I'm going to write is probably going to be a bit longer than if it was a more linear single protagonist story. But you know, it all depends on what sort of story you want to write. So beginning, let's see. Hang on, let's word this differently. That's right, I haven't even given them a family name. Hang on, they need a family name. Oh god, I can't believe it'll make it much easier to refer to them all in the planning stages. So let's call them Yamagishi. Okay, that'll do. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. Dog's barking. The neighbor's dog is barking. Hang on, I am going to make a change here. We're going to make this not a big hospital, it's going to be a local clinic, not a big hospital, and it is going to be hang on, let's go down here and let's write this down so we know. I'm going to change this. Okay. Yeah, okay, we're gonna make it that it's not a big hospital, it is a little clinic in a mall, like a shopping center. In Japan, a lot of malls have little clinics. They're usually pediatrics, but anyway, let's go back here. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Let's see. Yep, anyway, that'll do for setup. Okay. Middle. So this is obviously the biggest part of your story, so you want to take your time, or at least, properly think about what you want the main sort of event to be, and if there's anything like in particular that you absolutely want to put in there, you should probably write it down in this part of the outline as well, Don't trust yourself to remember it, write it down. Let's see. This is always the most difficult part of planning, of plotting, is coming up with sort of like the stuff in the middle. Interesting setups, interesting endings, they're not too difficult, but coming up with sort of the middle bit. Shall we do end first, the conclusion first? Let's see. In the end, let's see, maybe sort of thinking, I had the idea that it's not all, what's the word? I don't want all the timelines happening at once. Like we go through one at a time, sort of thing. Like start with which one? I suppose start with the mother because she's sort of closest to where it starts. I mean, if we have it happen at a clinic in the shopping centre, then yeah, she's closest to ground zero. And then we move on to the son, Kazu, because he's the next closest. And then the last would be Hitomi because she's the furthest away, and also I sort of want it to end with her. Let's see, we want them. Okay, so for a conclusion for each of the characters anyway, let's see. Maybe I need to give this kid a name too. Let's see. Sorry, my shoulder hurts. Oh. Hmm. Okay, that'll do for the ending. Now it's this. Gosh, still only got 20 minutes left on the timer. I'm really not sure what to write here. Because I don't have too many solid ideas for like scenes yet. Let's not do it in a paragraph. We'll do it in like sort of bullet points. Okay, so let's see. First, okay. First is going to be the mother, so she's going to be let's see, what shall they come up against? Let's see, cause let's see. He's gonna be a bit of the opposite, I guess. While everyone else is running away from the chaos, let's say he's going to be the try and be the idiot hero, whatever. He wants to save his girlfriend, so he's going to go into the fray. So let's see. Okay, this will do for the very, very basic beginning, middle, end outline. You can't even really call it an outline, it's not that in depth. But it's good enough. Oh, excuse me, I'm tired. But yeah, so that's basically it for today, actually, like for this step anyway. And you could spend more time going over it, going back. You know, if you have time, you can always go back and do more brainstorming, more, you know, character profiles. I will have to come back and do those. But yeah, so, you know, separate, organize the brainstorming into categories. So it's just easier to find information. You can also see which areas you might need to work on a bit more. And then create a 3-point summary, you know, beginning, middle, end. Set up, the action or the conflict, and the conclusion. And that's it for step, what is it, 3? Yeah, it is 3, isn't it? But yeah, that's it. I'll stop this timer now, we don't need it. But yeah, it doesn't have to be super in-depth, it doesn't have to be super accurate, as long as you've got a basic idea, because the next thing we're going to do is expand on that. Yes. And so you take each point, so like your beginning, and expand that into its own beginning, middle, end. So this works in a similar way to the snowflake method, but we're not going to go quite as far as the snowflake method. I find it's just a bit too in-depth for me. You know, going just one more step past this seems to be the sweet spot, personally. Yes, so next time we'll do a bit more outlining and stuff, and yeah, so that's it for today. Very short video, but yeah, so I hope anything that I've shown or said or whatever maybe might help a little bit. It's alright if it didn't, but yeah, so I'll see you in the next video where we will move on to the next step. I'll see you all then. Bye.